Hello everyone, here is Daniel Budai with a brand new episode of the Ecommerce Show, and today I'm here with Tomas Cervenka, and he's the CEO and founder of MTBIKER, and we are here live actually in beautiful Bratislava, Slovakia. We just had a nice lunch, and we are having a great time. So it's very good to be here with you, Tomas. How are you today?
Thanks for coming over to Bratislava. I understand this is your first time, so maybe we'll do some exploring, but thank you, I'm very well.
Amazing. So let's start with your story. I know you've been in e-commerce for a while, but even longer in the bike industry. So around 25 years. You started when you were not even a teenager, right? So
yes, that's right. I mean, so the whole journey of MTBIKER started, as you said, roughly 25 years ago. And it was a time when I was at elementary school and I started cycling. And also I started digging a little bit into programming. So my parents got me a first computer, a very slow one, but I was eager to explore the wonders of various programming languages, especially PHP. And I was looking for a project that I could sort of learn and try programming. So I actually started creating a website for cyclists, for mountain bikers in Slovakia, because there was nothing like that out there. And it proved to be very sort of useful for a lot of people. It became fairly popular very quickly, and I've been basically developing in it and working on it ever since.
amazing. So this was around 2000, something like that?
1998 was the first.
Oh, wow.
I was looking at the code base, so 1998.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So just fast forward a bit in time. So I know you also worked in a startup in the UK, in London, and you did different things. So e-commerce is a newer thing. So this biking and all of that, this was more like a hobby for you for a couple years, or how was it?
It basically, I was a amateur racer. In my sort of teenage years. So it's a little bit more than a hobby, but yes, essentially just a hobby. And the whole website, the whole MTBIKER portal has been created on the side of that, really to help the cycling community to communicate, to have a place where they can share news, share reports from races. They can share photos from races. They can post classified ads, photos, etc., etc. And I think when I was like 15 or 16, I also started creating some e-shops or e-shop platforms. So actually that's where the e-commerce really started for me. And I've been sort of programming in a number of e-shops maybe between the age of 15 and 18. But when I went to university, I kind of stopped that sort of part of the business and was only looking at studying and then doing MTBIKER as a side project.
Yeah.
But yes, I've studied in the UK and worked in the UK for 9 years in a number of technology companies as a developer and then as a CTO, and still at the same time kind of working on the evenings on MTBIKER and and creating content and creating the website itself.
Yeah, amazing. I have to ask you this question because in online marketing communities, it's a big question. So you were at university, you were employed in a company in the UK. And so what do you think about it? Like people who want to be entrepreneurs, young people, it's good to go to university and be employed or not necessarily?
I do get this question quite often actually. And I think that the answer is yes, it's definitely useful. Like if you ask me, how many skills or how many, exact things that I learned at uni have I used to create the website or to run the actual e-shop or to run the company, it's not as many. So you don't necessarily learn the exact skill set, but you do tend to learn a lot of concepts. You do tend to have a lot of discipline when you have to study for certain things. You do get a lot of contacts and a lot of CV points from attending a good university. And actually, the more I got into sort of management of people, of products, of the whole company, the more I realized that I'm getting back to the material that I did study in university. And it's actually been very, very helpful. It's there's a lot of stuff that you learn that is timeless.
Yeah.
Like it's probably no point like learning stuff which is a you know, something which doesn't last long, like a certain programming language or a certain type of you know, product that is only going to be here for like 5 years. But the concepts, the underlying fundamental truths, they do last, and it's nice to actually you know, learn them in a university environment.
Interesting. That's a good, interesting point of view. I also went to university. I studied geology, so very different thing than marketing. But actually, I learned a lot about critical thinking, being skeptical, being able to argue for your opinion. So there are things that you learn, and network as well. That can be a good part.
Yeah. And so there are things that are universal, like you said. You know, critical thinking. Statistics for me is actually super important, and people that do understand it, and people that run businesses or run e-commerce, they realize very soon that actually statistics is a big part of what they have to do and have to understand. And it's also, as you said, that's sort of the scientific process, because a lot of the time when running any type of business, but especially online business, you do a lot of experiments, a lot of A/B testing, a lot of different decisions that you have to have data for. And if you don't understand how to get the data, how to interpret the data, how to work with data, then you're kind of just guessing all the time. But when you do understand it, it actually helps you a lot to make better decisions.
100%. So fast forward more, when you became full-time with this e-commerce thing?
So that was 2014 or end of 2014. As part of the UK company I worked for, was opening an office here in Bratislava, and you know, together with my wife, we were sort of hiring developers for the company. You know, we hired 10 super bright guys. We opened an office, very nice one in central Bratislava, and then something happened in the company related to the investors. And essentially, we had to basically leave the company, or I decided to leave the company. And as we were back home in Slovakia, I was thinking, okay, let's move MTBIKER into a more commercially viable or business viable place, and decided to switch the business model into e-commerce. So before then, we were just making some money from advertising, but it was not a lot. So we decided.
More like an affiliate thing.
Partially, basically, was mainly, you know, direct sales of ads or you know, AdSense and that type of thing. But no, it wasn't big money, right? It could support 2 or 3 people, but not much more. So we tried. Okay, let's see what e-commerce can do for us. And we used basically the community and the organic traffic that we had on the website to really attract people to buy from us. And the first year we started with a Czech partner, so basically they did all the shipping and the warehouse stuff and all the logistics, and we were only doing the actual website marketing, customer service, etc. But very quickly we realized that we need our own physical store, we need our own warehouse, we need you know, a physical presence in Slovakia. So we bought a piece of land in a village. We built our physical store. We built our first warehouse from shipping containers essentially, and we were sort of growing ever since.
Oh wow! And I'm just curious why you took this decision, because I talked to so many e-commerce folks who, you know, they just want to keep things online or even dropship products, and that's it. They don't think about, as you said, having a piece of land and having a brick and mortar store, good customer support. So was it a decision that it was natural for you, or not necessarily?
I think it was natural. I think it was we listened to our customers. And we realized that they need a place, for example, to retrieve their bike, or to actually physically get their bike, but also to in order for us to be a good seller or reseller in the cycling business, you need to have a physical store because of bike service, bike fitting, you know, warranty, all those sorts of services that you need to do that you really can't do if you have any physical presence. So that was basically a natural thing for us. But in some segments, I completely understand that it can be a lot more profitable and definitely a lot easier if you are sort of outsourcing all the physical stuff, whether it's fulfillment, whether it's the actual logistics. So it's not a natural decision every time.
Yeah, makes sense. Interesting. And honestly, I prefer this mindset more than how is it called in English? Like get rich quick. Right? I can see that mindset a lot as well, unfortunately, in e-commerce. You started the whole e-commerce journey around 10 years ago, right? So quite a while ago now. Let's talk a bit more about this brand and business. So what are the numbers currently? Of course, just share what you are comfortable with to share. So I know 80% of revenue is in Slovakia still, but you are expanding now.
Yes.
Coming to Hungary, also in Poland, Czech.
Romania.
Yeah, Romania. That's a difficult one.
Yeah.
So where is this brand now? Also, you have a lot of employees, right?
So over those 10 years, almost 10 years, we have grown our revenue to, for last year, the group revenue is about 20 million euros. We are seeing very interesting growth this year as well. So our target was about 25. We're actually growing to or targeting a slightly bigger number right now, but we're still in June. So we'll see how the year pans out. We actually shipped our 1 millionth order this week, I think, on Monday.
Wow, congrats.
Thank you. So it took us 10 years, so that's taking it slow. But we're accelerating. And as a company, our headcount is about 120 people.
220.
120.
120, yeah.
Not everyone is full-time, so, we have a very sort of remote setup. Yeah. We have some, stores, and we have a warehouse. We have a small sort of co-working type office. But we have people all across Slovakia, also some in Czech Republic, so some in Poland. So there's a lot of people that work for MTBIKER or contribute to MTBIKER with their content, with all kinds of services. Yeah.
So I know your background. You mentioned programming a couple times. You worked in this startup, and you have, I would say, more IT people than many e-commerce businesses. So is it something that comes from your mindset and your past? And I know you don't use something like Shopify or some local e-commerce engine, but you have your own custom built website.
That's right.
And same for email marketing, I think.
That's right. Yes.
So why did you decide to go in this way?
It's probably partially or maybe mostly due to my background, because I programmed the whole website, developed the whole website from scratch. My mindset is that I try to centralize everything into our own code base, into our own database, so that we don't rely on third-party software. We don't have to synchronize databases and move data around when you want to analyze it, or pay fees to someone and be locked to some other vendor. So that's the mindset. But it also means that we have to have an internal IT team. Right now it's about 10 people. So, IT people are not very cheap. So it is a bit, sort of a big expense for us. But at the same time, it allows us to be very flexible. It allows us to move quickly. And again, we don't need to rely on third-party solutions. So whatever we decide to do, when we want to scale things, when we want to go to a different market, we want to introduce a new service, for example, we launched bike rental recently. So anything that we decide to do internally as a business, we don't need to sort of look for external solutions or pay for someone to program it on that external solution for us. We just do it ourselves.
And this has been since day one, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Because I think many small e-commerce businesses, they start on a Shopify, they pay all of these apps and everything, and maybe over time they go more independent. But you didn't have this, that you have independence from third parties since day one, basically.
It's true. But I would say that if I started right now, I would probably go for a ready-made solution in the beginning, because it takes time to develop your own solution, and you do tend to forget a lot of things, a big number of things that would be very useful to have in your system. basically when we started, there were no third-party solutions out there.
Yeah.
So we started way before social media and way before Shopify. Maybe Shopify was around, but it wasn't very popular. So we basically had to create it from scratch. Right now, I probably wouldn't do the same thing.
Now you don't have to, for sure. It's very different environment. I guess back then you really had to, because there was no other option, right?
And especially for us, because it's a bit more complicated in our code base, because we're not just an e-shop. In the first 15 years of MTBIKER's existence, we were a portal. So we created content, we have a discussion forum, we have classified ads, all kinds of community functions. And so eShop was just essentially an add-on on top of an existing code base. If you were purely an eShop, then I would say you don't really need to have a custom solution until your business gets to be very complex.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. So I know before this interview we had a lunch, and you mentioned that you have quite many different marketing channels like Meta, Instagram, Google. You have offline as well. You were actually on TV. I will ask you about in a minute. So, of course, email marketing. So I'm curious, how do you see these different channels, especially how online and offline work together?
Yeah. We were talking about it over lunch, and I think in my head the calculation is roughly 50-50 when it comes to performance and branding channels. And it's for branding, it's a major combination of various things, whether it's a TV campaign, it's sponsorship and events, it's some offline advertising, it's the content that we create, whether it's articles, videos, social. There's a lot of activities, and the branding side is very difficult to measure. You don't really have a good sort of measure of the actual return on the ad spend in the short term. So it's much more of a long-term investment, but I think it's absolutely crucial to do it and to spend a good amount of money. I think 50-50 or 60-40 is the sort of the typical recommended split when it comes to the spend. So you do have to have branding, but you shouldn't expect that you will have a short-term immediate impact or measurable impact from branding. It's a long-term thing. It takes years. But also, obviously, when you're starting, you have to have some performance advertising. So we do that as well, of course. And especially we do that in the new markets that we are opening.
Yeah. That comes first, right? Performance first, and branding follows on the new markets.
Yes. I mean, normally, again, people would say, well, you start branding from day one, and that's to a large extent true. But when we launch a market, we normally launch just with performance. Just to kind of get some feedback from the market, from the customers, to see whether people are reacting to our offering, whether they are buying the same products that we sell in different markets, or whether maybe people are more interested in different brands, different categories. We also test our logistics, the reverse logistics, customer service, all kinds of things that maybe before you start really investing into your own brand, you have to sort of fix the basics and make sure that you can really operate in that market, that everything is properly localized. And once we're happy, and once also the customers are happy, then we start investing into the brand.
Got it. So until you don't see the good return on performance, you wouldn't start the branding in a new country, let's say.
That's true, because our sort of strategy is to launch many markets in a relatively short period of time, and then sort of pick and choose which ones we want to grow the fastest in. And that is based on the type of feedback we get from the return on ad spend, customer satisfaction, logistics, efficiency, all sorts of measures and metrics that we look at, and we decide which markets we want to invest more heavier into. Yeah,
makes sense. Did you have a moment in the past when you realized that we need branding?
Well, I think for us it was natural, because we started with looking at it right now, all we did was branding since when we started, because
we are very much community based
until pretty much until 2021 we didn't do any performance marketing.
Interesting.
And we had no spend on Facebook, on Google, or any type of performance channel. All we did was basically branding, and we did it by creating content and creating a community, creating organic audience that comes back to the website every day or once a week to check for new stuff. And so we did it before we knew it was called branding.
Interesting. I can definitely see two groups here. One starts with performance. There are many e-commerce business owners who are very good at Meta and Google Ads and direct response marketing, and over time they realize we need branding. And then the other group who has this community approach, branding, we can call it branding, and then they realize we need performance. So it's interesting.
And I think it's obvious that if you're looking at the e-commerce space for a longer time, doing just performance is very risky from the perspective that someone will come with a bigger budget and we'll take you out of the market. And you can see that right now with the Chinese e-commerce giants and a lot of the e-commerce players that are basically are still relying purely on performance. Have seen their costs skyrocket, and is essentially causing massive problems for them. If they have a stronger brand, maybe they can spend less on performance marketing and still have the organic audience that they have built over time.
I can definitely see this in ad accounts, that once a brand has more solid branding or even TV ads, then all of the CPC, CPA, all of these metrics, they start getting better and better over time.
Exactly. That's why I think it's called a marketing mix for a reason. It all adds up to the same thing, and anything you do on the branding side will increase your performance essentially.
Exactly. So let's touch base on TV ads. To be honest, I rarely talk to brand owners who run TV ads or try this. So you run ads on one of the major TV stations in Slovakia. And why did you decide to do it? How did you do it? Was it a good investment overall? What's your opinion?
Prirastol si k stoličke, poď na baj. Nesieš nákup babičke, poď na baj. Čudné číslo na vaje, poď na baj. Auto je zas v oprave, poď na baj. Ale ja už som na bajku bol. Nevadí, poď na baj. Bike pre každého a všetko na bike nájdeš na MTBIKER.sk.
So we decided to do it last year, and the reason why we went to TV is that we wanted to reach a new audience. We realized, or we think we have saturated our natural target audience, which is the more active cyclists and active outdoor people, and we really wanted to reach people who maybe don't cycle yet, maybe are not very active sports people yet, and we wanted to really sort of get them into cycling. That's why the whole TV ad is basically, it's a very simple sort of call to action to say, which is saying, go for a ride, right? And it's sort of showing you some good reasons why you want to go for a ride, and it's trying to activate people. And this has run last year, and it's also run this year, and it's going to run in a few weeks as well, while Tour de France is going on as well. This is one of the things about branding. You can't really measure directly. You can have various sort of econometric models, and you can have various statistical models that say, okay, this has been very, successful. But really, it's very difficult to attribute anything to TV ads. So again, it's part of the mix. I think once you are big enough in a country, you want to launch or you want to reach a wider audience, it should be a part of your mix. But it makes sense from a certain scale. If you're relatively small and you can't invest, say, hundreds of thousands of euros in it, then it's probably not very useful because no one will notice. So you have, if you want to do it, you have to do it relatively big.
And maybe those people who don't live in Central Europe, we have listeners in the US, or UK, different countries. So we are in Slovakia now. It's not a huge country. It's 5 million people, right?
Yep, yes.
And you talk about hundreds of thousands of euros even in this small country. So yeah, it's definitely an investment. If you are in the UK or bigger countries, that would be maybe millions.
Much likely, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think a smaller brand, you definitely don't need it. You need to hit a certain scale to think about it and invest into it.
Yeah, and it's maybe we can get away without doing the TV ads. It's expensive. I believe we are seeing effects from it. Again, they are not immediate effects.
Yeah.
So some people in our team expected that we will see like a traffic spike once the first TV ad runs, and we were looking at the website and nothing happened, right? So it's not like everyone will just start googling MTBIKER. But it builds over time, as people see, as people hear your TV ad, it gets in their head. And what you can hope for is that the next time that they're thinking about buying a bike or buying something related to the bike, you will be on top of their mind. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Of the TV campaign, to make sure that when people think about the need that you serve, that you're the first one on their mind.
Yeah.
And I think that is what it has helped us achieve.
Yeah, awareness basically. Yeah, that's crucial. So my last question to you today: what would be your number one advice to your younger self? Let's say 10 years ago when you launched this e-commerce business.
That's a good question, and you should have asked me before because I would have prepared for it. But on the spot, I think it's good to launch early, and I think I wouldn't do things differently from the perspective of going bigger. I think it's the expectation is this is a long game, a marathon. So you shouldn't expect to get rich quickly, as you said.
It's a Tour de France, right?
It's very much a Tour de France, and it's a long journey. The one key learning I had over the last 2 or 3 years in the sort of post-COVID world is that no matter how profitable you are or how much you grow, cash is king.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're in e-commerce and you have stock and you have warehouse and you have money in that stock, managing your cash flow, managing the cash that you have, and most of the time you need to borrow money to buy your stock.
Yeah.
And you're paying interest, and when that interest rate changes abruptly, like it did in 2022, it caused problems for a lot of e-commerces. And the bigger you are, the bigger problem you have. So the one thing maybe I would say to myself, watch your cash flow, watch your cash management.
Yeah.
Because at a certain scale, and it's probably millions of euros or maybe 10 million euro plus turnover, the cash management becomes so crucial, because once you run out of cash, you can be the best company in the world, but you're out of the game.
Yeah, that's a great advice. I read the book Shoe Dog a couple of years ago. Have you read this book?
No.
It's from the founder of Nike, and for 20 years they struggle with this. And so every chapter is a year, 1977, 78. So you can see a timeline, and every year cash flow getting worse, getting worse. I need to, go to the bank. So it really shares the struggles.
It is. And again, it's a double whammy for high growth companies. If you have physical products, you need to have more physical product because you're selling more. But you need to buy it in advance. You need to pay for stuff in advance. You have to have a bigger warehouse, more people, and that all costs money. So and it's a lot more money than you can possibly earn on a given year. Yeah. So you have to borrow, or you have to get an investment. We did that as well, and that helped us a lot. But at a certain point, this becomes the crucial thing. Yeah.
Those are the final words. Thank you, Tomas, for the interview today. Thanks everyone who watched us on YouTube or listened to the podcast, and stay tuned because every week we come out with one interview with an e-commerce business owner. As you can see now, we start having more live interviews in studios, And in the description, we will put the link of your e-commerce store. So if anyone lives here in Central Europe, you can get a bike from this store. Also, I will add the link of our company. I will add actually a free guide that you can download about email marketing. So stay tuned, and thanks everyone, and I wish you a great day.
Have a good one.
Hope you enjoyed, and even more importantly, you learned a lot from this video. Here at Budai Media, our goal is to help at least 1,000 e-commerce businesses grow with high quality marketing, because we can see too much shit out there. If you like this video, make sure that you go down, you subscribe to this channel, and also hit the notification bell so you get updated of my weekly videos. We collected the top 100 email templates from the past 6 years, and these generated tens of thousands of dollars for our clients. So go down and click the link and get this 100 templates for free. And finally, I will drop you one more video here. Make sure that you check it out as well.